Morning. Good morning.
Good
Carlton from
morning.
Jamaica. Carlton from
Thank you
Jamaica.
very much. Yes, thank you very much.
I was invited by Miss Diana McIntyre Pike.
Great. Good to see you. Are you from Jamaica?
Yes, I'm from Jamaica.
Perfect. It's quite early, isn't it? It's 7 a.m. if I'm not wrong.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So Steve, if you don't mind, in 1 minute we will go live and we start.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Are you, Reza, do you control, can you make everybody mute or do everybody
Yes,
do it
I
individually?
will. Yes, I
Without
will. Yes,
background noise?
yes. In fact, I will mute everybody, including you, and then you just unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay, Steve, are you unmuted? Yeah. Steve, are you unmuted?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, please, I think we should start. I think we should start now then, yeah.
Okay. Welcome everybody to this webinar on tourism and poverty alleviation, recommendations for action. We have a wonderful group of international presenters with us tonight, and we have participants here on the Zoom and also on the website for the Institute of Tourism, the Facebook site, Instagram and YouTube. So there are many platforms and many hundreds of people around the world joining in. My name is Steve Noakes. You may be able to tell from my accent that I talk in the Australian version of the English language. And so hopefully my Aussie English is acceptable for everybody tonight. Oh, it's nighttime. I'm in Jakarta, so it's about 7 p.m. here in Jakarta. And I know, of course, we have people from different time zones from around the world. The way we run these webinars is that the speakers contribute about 10 minutes, and we go through all the speakers. And then at the end, if there's an opportunity, we can look at some question and answers, particularly if you pick up some questions during the presentations, if you just add them to the chat room. And it's also good in the chat room if you just say hello and just indicate which city or country you're from, and we get a good knowledge of where everybody is from. I'm very pleased as I look at the names attending here tonight, some familiar faces and names, and people who have made an enormous contribution to all forms of tourism around the planet, and especially when it comes to poverty alleviation. This concept of pro-poor tourism and poverty alleviation really started to gather momentum about a quarter of a century ago. And the terminology of pro-poor tourism really emerged out of projects funded by different agencies and NGOs in the UK. And in the late 90s, and then in the early 2000s, looking at how tourism could be applied to the Millennium Development Goals. I can recall 2002, at the World Summit on Sustainable Development, which was held in Johannesburg, that the what's now called UN tourism, the UNWTO, launched its concept of sustainable tourism as an effective tool for the elimination of poverty, and that was called the STEP program, STEP. And then a couple of years later, the Korean government very kindly supported the World Tourism Organization with the establishment of a secretariat for STEP, the initiative. And I attended the meeting in Senegal in 2005, I think it was the General Assembly of the UNWTO, where the constitution of the Sustainable Tourism Eliminating Poverty initiative was endorsed by the member states of the UNWTO. So my task now is to keep our speakers to about 10 minutes of contribution each. And all the backgrounds on each of the speakers is on the links on the website. So I won't be giving detailed backgrounds to people. I'll just introduce their name and where they're talking from tonight. And our first speaker will be Dr. Wolfgang Alf, who's in Hamburg in Germany. Wolfgang, we'll hand across to you.
Okay, thank you very much. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Thanks, Reza, for inviting me. Thanks, Steve, for giving me the opportunity to speak. So I'm not the minister who was supposed to be first. Sorry for that, but so we will start with this. I hope you can see my slides.
Yes.
Okay, so tourism and poverty alleviation is, of course, more necessary than ever, and especially we need to have a different approach than before in times of artificial intelligence and in times of the climate catastrophe. So that's what I want briefly to talk about. So we see that I would say we had 50 years of a period of mass tourism starting in 1970 with the first jumbo jet and ending with the pandemic. And now we see the necessity for a completely new form of tourism because of the climate change, because also the change in the demand of tourism. It's not recreation anymore, it's experience mostly. And also that you cannot grow the scale of tourism ever more, going on and on, getting bigger and bigger. So we have developed something which is called meaningful tourism. I will briefly introduce that might be a tool also for poverty alleviation. So yeah, I'm now in Hamburg. I spend most of my time working with the Chinese market, but of course also with global tourism in general. Recently, I did a lot of work in Nepal and some other places as well. So as just mentioned, Steve just mentioned, so in 2002, this publication came out, Tourism and Poverty Alleviation. So it's not a new concept. And this report was the start of a lot of activities, and especially when Taleb was the SG of UNWTO, there was a lot of pro-poor tourism going on. And in recent years, the industry has also said that SDG 1, no poverty, is one of the SDGs which is relevant for tourism. However, the bad news is that last year there was a progress report published after half of the time of the SDG development, and it's also said that not one of the 17 goals will be reached in 2030, probably, and that especially what we're talking about here, people living in extreme poverty, the number was higher in 2023 than it was in 2019. So that hunger is now back to 2005 levels. So we have unfortunately not been successful in fighting poverty, and tourism as one tool has been doing some goods, but not obviously enough. So there has been success empowering rural populations, poor people, especially empowerment for women, giving new forms of income, new access to education. That is undeniable. We have been giving from the Tourism Center awards for organizations doing poverty alleviation programs in tourism. But as we see now, the big changes happening in tourism, so we will have also to think anew how poverty alleviation can be done in tourism. And that is why, well, you know why I don't have to go into detail here. Last year was the hottest year on record. We are very close to the 1.5 threshold already. And even if all the government policies promised are coming into reality, we will still have an increase in global gas emissions where we would need a big decrease. And so this is the depressing graph. Probably you all have seen that whatever conferences and accords and agreements have been reached, the amount of carbon dioxide and the rise in temperature levels has been going on without any hitch and any effect. So this is what we know. And especially last year, so we had in the second half of last year, almost every day was a new record in the history. And we even had the first day where the global average was more than 2 degrees already above pre-industrial times. So this is obviously something we have to react to. And as last year, Professor Talas, the boss of the World Meteorological Organization, has been saying, even if we stop polluting completely tomorrow morning, no more cars, no more factories, no more cows farting, the situation will get worse every year for more than 4 decades. Earth is not reacting so quickly. So that means we know today, and nothing can stop it, that the next 40 years, the situation will get worse. So we have to react to that. But we can see this already now. A few examples, that's from a recent Guardian report, so that in Kashmir, the skiing resort has seen no snow when they used to have in January 3 meters of snow. So, and all the people are who have been earning their money from doing services for the people coming there for skiing are out of a job. We have this holiday on a farm, a typical homestay, typical examples of poverty alleviation, tourism, and cacao farms are so which one? It's a mistake. So cocoa farms in different parts of the world have been inviting tourists to come and stay with them. But again, if you look at the news, it's in many places now grow too hot to grow chocolate anymore. And one more example, Nepal. Of course, in Nepal, a lot of tourism is trekking and hiking, and the services which can be provided by the local people for that. But with climate change now, the question when it is raining, when the monsoon is coming, has been totally out of sync, and also this is affecting the possibility to earn money from that, because the people don't want to walk in the rain. It might be dangerous. So, but if you look at the reaction to that, so you can see the people in Kashmir say, well, they hope the snow will return for the apple growers and the cocoa growers. They hope to do something little, change the plants a little bit. And in Nepal, the official government report says it's a fact there are not many outdoor activities in Nepal, so that is bad. So you can see in many places, not only for poor tourism, but also for poor tourism, people try to keep the old business model instead of proactively start to find new business models. And that is, I think, what is necessary. And this is also for us, supporting poor tourism in different ways, something we have to understand that this ideas of keeping the little village structures and bringing some people to spend some money there, and having things as they were in the past, or even moving backwards, will not work. So because the global economic situation is not so positive, climate triggers unavoidable changes, and also we have people want do different things. And one thing, well, we don't have time to talk about this, but tourism is getting a bad image, also over tourism debates, that we are no longer seen as the good guys bringing happiness and peace and maybe also money for poor people, but rather we are the polluters. And also something I don't have time to talk about, maybe somebody else will do in the webinar, how artificial intelligence is completely changing the rules of the game. So all negative stuff, sorry, don't shoot the messenger. But what we try to do to fight against it is that we have developed something which we call meaningful tourism. And this is the idea or the paradigm that you can only develop tourism if you have benefits and satisfaction for all stakeholders involved. And that, of course, involves also the host communities and the staff working for tourism service providers. And any kind of tourism which is not fulfilling this prerequisite is not sustainable in the long run and will not help to get people out of poverty. And to do this, you have to measure results. So we have to come up with, and that is also something we have been doing, you come up with KPIs where you can actually, for each of the 6 stakeholders, you can measure what is the result and the effect of tourism, and trying to find a balance, not a compromise, but a balance for these different stakeholders. And we have done also an meaningful tourism index where we have been looking at 88 countries. If you see at the bottom, there is a link, so you can download this free of charge from the website to see how are the different destinations doing. So coming to a conclusion, I don't want to use up too much of our time. So poverty alleviation through tourism does not work any more with backwards oriented approaches like regenerative tourism, which I think is a big mistake, ignoring social, economic, and climate changes. So poverty alleviation through tourism needs proactive adjustment of tourism today to the future challenges. And poverty alleviation through tourism needs a clear strategy. You need measurable KPIs which show the benefit and satisfaction of different stakeholders. So that is also something for third-party funding, so that you can create arguments on how you can judge the results and the effect of your project by providing measurable KPIs. That's all from me. Thank you very much. And as Steve said, if there are questions at the end of the webinar, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, you can also send me an email. And we have a weekly little publication called Meaningful Tourism Weekly, which is freely available on Substack. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Wolfgang, for your contribution and focusing on climate change impacts. And it'd be interesting to explore further the artificial intelligence angle there, and your meaningful tourism initiative. We're going to have the Minister for Tourism in Botswana join us in about 30 minutes. We have well over 500 people now joining us from different parts of the world. So those who particularly wanted to listen to the words of the Minister of Tourism from Botswana, she'll be with us in 30 odd minutes. Meantime, we're going to move on to Dr. Omar Mufakir from the Gulf University for Science and Technology in Kuwait. Thank you, Omar. You're muted, Omar.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Do you need a screen?
Well, no, Steve, if you don't mind, because I sent you an email and I told you I prefer to pass last. I don't know if you got my email.
No, that's okay. We can move on if you want to go.
Yes, because I have maybe something different.
Okay, no problem. We'll put you on last. Catherine, are you okay to come in now?
Yeah, I'm ready. Is it okay? Can you hear me?
Okay, so Catherine's has been making a major contribution in many fields of tourism, particularly in the Asia space for many, many years. Is very familiar with the Sustainable Tourism Eliminating Poverty Initiative and is now working with the Mekong Tourism Group, doing some great work in the Mekong region. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you so much, Steve. So, you know, I'm not a doctor or a professor. I will rather talk about a journey in poverty alleviation through tourism. So I was at ASEAN Tourism Conference Forum last week in Laos, and I told, as you can hear, I'm French, and I said, you know, surprisingly, I've never been to any native English country. Why? Because when I was young, I was too poor. And then I very early started to work in international development. And I traveled essentially, to developing countries. So the first part of my career was dedicated to international development for water, sanitation, waste, electricity. I was working for a big group of environmental utilities, and I stayed there for 10 years and traveled to Latin America and then Africa. So that was my first experience with the developing world and, of course, with poverty. And at that time, I was really, of course, shocked by the difference between the country where I was coming from and those countries I was visiting and supposed to help. And then after, I got an interest in sustainable tourism. So I studied sustainable tourism in 2003. And then very quickly, I went to Korea. Why? Because fate, you know, my husband was appointed to Korea. And that year, 2005, as you mentioned, Steve, was actually the launch of STEP Foundation in Seoul, in Korea. So the STEP initiative, Sustainable Tourism for Eliminating Poverty, was created in 2002, just before, 1 year before the World Tourism Organization becomes a UN agency. And I arrived in Korea, and just almost magically, I started to be involved in promoting sustainable tourism for poverty elimination. But I have to say, you know, I started working in this industry. Before I worked in a Novotel for 1 year in hospitality and everything, but really I entered this world of founding a project to eliminate poverty through tourism. And I was kind of naive at that time. You know, I just thought that, yes, tourism is a tool for good. It's a tool that can help those communities be lifted out of poverty. But in the end, I never had a lot of opportunities to see what was going on the ground because I was mainly reading reports. And that was really increasingly frustrating. But at the same time, what was very interesting is how Korea, to study the story of Korea, you know, that was one of the poorest countries in the world. And basically they escaped poverty to become one of the 10th economic powers, not through tourism, I would say, but tourism contributing, you know, to the branding of the country. So frustration, I started to think about how to promote those projects sustainable tourism project to give them more exposure, because I realized that there was not enough promotion of those projects, not enough marketing, no fund to promote those projects. So it means that at the end of the project, at the end of the funding, nobody knew about those projects. So those places where we try to develop tourism were actually not destination because there were no tourists. And secondly, I just thought that those projects were actually niche projects. How can you help a country to develop through tourism if you only have niche projects? So that was also the problem of those projects. Problem of marketing, problem of funding, problem of capacity building, problem of monitoring, as Wolfgang clearly mentioned. So a lot of projects that at some point I was frustrated and started Millennium Destination as a blog. Then the blog became a consulting company. And in 2019, I decided to create a platform, travel platform called Heroes, which means the hosts are heroes, because I wanted to promote community-based tourism in a larger scale using the new technologies. So it was more like an exercise because it's not monetized. But my point is, if we only consider that community-based tourism is a niche, we won't achieve poverty alleviation or even elimination. So it means that we need to use the new technologies, and we should not consider, especially for poor countries, that mass tourism is bad. We need a critical mass to develop the countries. If we just focus on the niche area, on niche product, or even ecotourism, community-based ecotourism, it's in some way building a model, but in reality, we still have those problems that basically are also a problem of behavior. Because people think they are doing good, like, volunteerism. There are a lot of talks these days saying that volunteerism is not necessarily helping the countries and doing good for them. Of course, it's good to give the travelers good conscience, but in reality, do we care about really how difficult it could be for the local communities, for the children, the same as homestay. Everybody thinks that homestay is, the best solution for the communities because, it will create additional income for them. And recently, someone told me, Catherine, you said that it's not comfortable for the travelers because I was focusing on the demand. And she said, think about of people receiving those travelers in their place. It can really break the family fabric. It can really traumatize the children. So do we think about that? So that's also a point that recently people told me, an Australian friend, she told me, Catherine, don't you think that plastic is very bad for the attractiveness of the destination? I'm living in Cambodia, which is still a developing country. And I just realized, I said, plastic is ugly, of course. The plastic is convenient. And what is ugly is poverty and inequality. The problem is many Western travelers focus on environment first. So it's a way for them, to make critiques about the destination, but to avoid, saying what is really problematic, which is actually the poverty and the fact that those people receiving them, their hosts, are actually seen as sometimes okay, we talk about service, but service, it's also the idea of slavery or exploitation. My point is that if we really want, to alleviate poverty through tourism, we need to address also the mindset of people, not only the host, but also the guests. And I would say, for me, it's a matter of balance of power. When we talk about empowerment rather than poverty alleviation, we really want, people to become powerful, to be empowered, to be not at the same level, but to be respected. You know, I want the traveler to see their decency and not thinking that they do a favor to those poor communities by traveling and visiting them. You know, a travel experience is co-created, and I think we cannot definitely enjoy this experience when people are starving. And it's not by giving them $1 or even $2 that we will, you know, help them solve their problem. So my point is that we need to build new models of poverty alleviation through tourism. Now we are in the 21st century, but quite for a long time. And I think probably with the use of new technologies, smart technologies, we can definitely better monitor the impact of tourism on the local communities or on the country, and escape, you know, these traditional ways of measuring the performance of tourism with only international travel arrivals or the receipts. And also, I would say COVID showed us that through domestic tourism, we can also promote a better distribution of income, more harmony. And I think that we should probably not stop, no, I'm not that drastic, you know, think outside the box and not have those fantasies, or we want to attract, you know, Westerners because they are rich and they are, because sometimes it can be a trauma for the local communities or for the host. We need to reconcile, you know, say, societies. Tourism is an ecosystem also. There are many different ecosystems, and maybe because I'm talking too much probably, I'd like us to think about how we can put the local communities at the center of those ecosystems, rather than just as a satellites that maybe gonna get some crumbles. Yeah, this is what I wanted to promote, and I'm still promoting that after 30 years of this passion for international development. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Your insights add spice to the discussion, which is great, different perspectives. Can I just, before we move on to our next speaker, can I make sure everybody is muted? There's one of our participants enjoying a dinner or a lunch somewhere. And so if you just, it just causes background noise. So can you just double check everybody is has the audio muted? We're going to move across from Cambodia over to India now and invite Dr. Manpreet Arora to present. Manpreet, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes.
All right, let me share my screen first so that I can begin.
Good.
So today I'll be talking about how entrepreneurship can help us to alleviate poverty, basically. Because the experiences after COVID-19, where in most of the countries have been very drastic, especially in the tourism sector. And the various countries are trying to adopt any kind of a resilience policy in order to not only bounce back the tourism sector, but other sectors of the economy as well. One of the important aspects which was found to be very important in order to alleviate in various terms, not only in poverty, but to cater to the needs of various sections of the society, entrepreneurship has been regarded as very important in this, you can say paradigm. Whatever we are doing, whether it is we are talking about the zero hunger, whether we are talking about any other sustainable development goal of poverty reduction, or we are talking about the well-being of the society, or we are talking about gender equality, tourism can give us a strong you can say footing by establishing certain entrepreneurial ventures in this era. So why entrepreneurship is necessary in tourism industry? I'll not be discussing the background so that I can give up my viewpoint in 10 minutes. So entrepreneurship is very crucial in the tourism industry for several reasons. First of all, it is going to foster innovation, diving through the development of new and unique tourism products and services. Entrepreneurs are always, regarded at the forefront of identifying emerging trends and changing consumer preferences, ensuring the industry to remain dynamic as well as responsive. Moreover, whenever we talk about entrepreneurship in tourism, especially, it leads to job creation, economic growth, and entrepreneurs can expand their businesses to generate not only employment opportunity for themselves, but to others also in various sectors, from hospitality to transportation to other kind of services. So this is not only going to improve the livelihoods of the individuals, but it is going to contribute towards the economic development of every country in various aspects. So we can achieve multiple sustainable goals if we focus on tourism entrepreneurship, and we also as an academicians try to bring out the educational aspects of tourism entrepreneurship in our education, in our course contents, in our various levels of teaching, so that the entrepreneurial education is just not becoming one sector specific. It is going to contribute in various sectors by making people employable and understanding the tourism industry in a different aspect. So entrepreneurs play a very, very, diversifying role in tourism offering. They can introduce novel experiences, they can cater to the niche markets, they can help the industry to resiliate in economic fluctuations as well as seasonality. So whatever kind of diversity which is posing challenge to us, it can attract a broad range of tourists, thereby expanding the market to reduce the dependency on the specific segments. In addition to this, agricultural aspects, farm tourism, wine tourism, these aspects encourage sustainable practices also in the tourism practices, ecotourism, where responsible entrepreneurs often prioritize environmental and cultural conservation, promoting eco-friendly initiatives and supporting local community. So this sustainability aspect not only aligns with the contemporary requirements of the consumers, but it also ensures the longevity, the positive impact of the tourism industry, which can be created on the destinations. What exactly we are now, focusing on tourism entrepreneurship is the process to identify, create, as well as manage various business opportunities within the tourism industry. Entrepreneurs in the tourism sector, they can develop and operate businesses which can satisfy the need or the desire of the tourists in various aspects. Businesses can range from small or locally owned enterprises to more complex ventures. It can involve the combination of innovation, risk-taking, and business acumen to specifically draw the tourism sector. What are the key aspects of tourism entrepreneurship where we need to focus? We need to identify the opportunities where obviously the academicians, the practitioners, the tourism people are going to help in identifying the opportunities. Where are the various business creation possibilities? In what sectors the innovation can be created? Where the risk-taking ability has to be managed, where we have to adapt to the current practices, like we were talking about climate control, or we are talking about responsible tourism, or we are talking about the community tourism. And the use of AI is very important. I agree with the earlier speaker also, that how AI is gonna contribute towards achieving the aspects of entrepreneurial tourism. In that, we need to focus on the consumer. After COVID, we understood that we don't want to confine ourselves at homes. We want to travel, we want to explore, we want to be in nature. The well-being has been, it has risen a lot. The people are trying to visit the places where they can talk about their well-being. They can be in nature. So what kind of customer focus should be there? The aspect of community engagement in tourism has been very important since beginning, but it has now been getting relevance at a very higher pace, because the community is the root of rural tourism, sustainable tourism, which is going to help us in achieving the sustainable aspects of the tourism. So entrepreneurship in tourism industry is going to help a lot if we have the right path to adopt for eradicating unemployment, and economic activity can contribute to many jobs around the world in the tourism sector. The creation of the tourism enterprises that provide products and services in tourism attractions or accommodation or catering or travel related retail businesses can offer new employment opportunities. People can gain real income, generate revenues, stimulate the other industries, can have productive activities. However, every entrepreneur has to establish some sort of a path. So tourism entrepreneurship, in my opinion, can play a crucial role in poverty alleviation through various mechanisms that positively impact local economies, especially. What are the mechanisms that positively impact local economies via tourism entrepreneurship? In my opinion, first of all, it can help in job creation. The tourism businesses like hotels, restaurants, tour operators, handicrafts, direct employment opportunities can be created for the local residents. It can include jobs in hospitality, transportation, guiding, and various support services. So increase in employment rates will obviously alleviate poverty by providing sustainable income source, especially at the ground root level, where the small economies or the developing economies are dependent upon tourism activities. The other speaker was talking about snow today, and I'm very happy to share on this platform that all over the Kashmir, Himachal has received snow today, and people are very happy. People are traveling. The tour operators are become active today, and everything is covered with the white snow today, and which is giving a way boost to the people who are at the lower level, who are taxi operators, who are selling food at these ventures. You can see the whole Facebook, or the other social media platforms where the Kashmir or Himachal or the other areas which were having a dry spell are enjoying and rejoicing the tourism activity, because the God has given them a white gift, I must say. So individuals and the families are active. The grassroots level is very happy, because this is going to give them earning, source of livelihood. It is going to help them sustain. Moreover, it helps you to diversify your income. When you develop various economic activities in a region, local residents engage in entrepreneurial ventures, starting their own small businesses, offering souvenirs, unique products, services to cater the tourists. So the diversification of the income sources makes communities more resilient to economic shocks, and they reduce dependence on a single industry. The community involvement is very important. I'm talking it from the very beginning. So tourism entrepreneurship is totally based upon community involvement, where the collaboration with the local community is very important. It can be any country, it can be any region, it can be any destination. When communities actively participate in, they benefit, they reinvest, they educate, they take care of the healthcare, they create infrastructure, they create lively good health standards, and they provide tourists a different sense of destination experience, which can help them the entrepreneurial activities to boost. So our community involvement, local food is going to play a very important role in poverty alleviation, especially by the tourism sector. It has another dimension. The entrepreneurship has another dimension. It helps you to preserve your culture and heritage. So it can incentivize the preservation and promotion of local culture, helping your traditions and heritage to be, in a better place. It is not only going to enrich the tourism experience, but it is also going to provide you the opportunities for the local artisans, performers, cultural practitioners to showcase their skills and generate income. So cultural preservation is another aspect, or you can say another dimension of the SDGs, which can be fostered through fostering the tourism entrepreneurship. Then is skill development. The whole world is talking about skill development. India is totally focusing on skill development. It necessitates, development of various skills, whether it is about customer service, whether it is language proficiency. The other speaker was talking about the aspects of marketing and the management and the problems she faced. So all the things we can, inculcate in the tourism education while educating our entrepreneur, so that they become not only employable, but they can help the other industries as well. This increased employability contributes to the poverty reduction by expanding the job opportunities. Mechanisms, another aspect is the infrastructure development. It always leads to good roads, good transportation facilities, good utilities. Access to better infrastructure can stimulate economies. And beyond the tourism sector also, it can create conducive environment for the tourism entrepreneurs. And the last aspect which I want to share is environmental conservation. So various sustainable tourism practices are often promoted by responsible tourism ventures and preservation of natural resources and protecting the environment. Well-managed environment can not only support the tourism in long run, but the tourism entrepreneurs working in this area will help us to foster a stable and a resilient economic foundation. So tourism entrepreneurship, I believe, has the potential to be a powerful force to poverty alleviate by creating jobs, diversifying income sources, involving local communities, preserving culture, improving infrastructure, fostering skill development, and promoting sustainable development. However, we need that the governments, the policy makers, the academicians, the practitioners, they are focusing on entrepreneurial activities. I just want to share in 30 seconds my one experience of today only. I was trying to find out the literature contributed by the people or the academicians on the Scopus database on women entrepreneurs in tourism sector. Can you imagine? I got just 30 to 40 research articles published in this area. I became a very astonished that how the people are not working in the area of women entrepreneurship, especially in relation to tourism. So it shows that we need to develop the tourism activities in relation to entrepreneurship. And as an academician, it becomes our duty to contribute our ideas in this sector. That's all from my side.
Thank you very much, Manpreet. Much appreciated your contribution. We're going to move from the India perspective now across to a new perspective in Bangladesh and welcome Mokhlesur Rahman to present now. Mokhlesur, can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, over to you. You're on mute, Mokhlesur.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much. Today, area of my speaking is elevation of poverty in Bangladesh through community tourism. Thank you very much for the first speakers. Already 4 speakers already presented their speech. So I want to present myself as a model implementer in Bangladesh. This is a rural tourism model. The name of the model is House of Wisdom. Community tourism, you know everybody. Community tourism based on the structure of a community, characteristics, needs of the community and resource, cultural pattern, all the things lead to face the community tourism model. Simultaneously, consumption and resource utilization pattern help to develop tourism, which acts to alleviate poverty. But in case of tourism, top-down method or any top-down model doesn't work at all. So that's why community behavior are the major factors of community tourism. Rural-based community tourism is a blessing to mankind now, because UNWTO already implementing a project of best tourism village throughout the globe. Keeping all this in mind, I have developed a cooperative-based rural tourism model, which name is House of Wisdom. This house belongs to 4 components: wisdom worker, wisdom capital, wisdom goods, and wisdom customers. Wisdom workers are those workers who do work for the people. Wisdom capital is the capital that comes from the people to invest in the development of mankind. Those who are wisdom goods, which are dedicated to fulfill the people's need. And finally, wisdom consumers are the noble consumers, which build the present and future globes. Based on this philosophy, we have started a journey in Bangladesh, in a Bangladeshi village, based on a slogan: there is a village inside a village. This model fights to reduce income inequality and rural depopulation as a job factory, creating a 14 new types of jobs. Basically, this village aims to create some outstanding example of rural tourism destination with cultural and natural assets that preserve and promote community-based values, products, and lifestyles. It has yet to perform the commitment to sustainability in all aspects, like economic aspects, social aspect, and environmental aspect, with the fundamental aims of making tourism one of the driver of positive transformation and rural development. Tourism runs here independently with a tourism cooperative model that I have mentioned earlier. From this model, I have some observations. In this case, we observe the success in green investment, wise use of natural capital, and lowering the social conflict. Micro investment from the community to some subsectors of rural tourism is the new dimension of formation of tourism assets. This model attracts tourism to the rural village through social marketing for last 2 years. Finally, this model interferes with gender equality, youth empowerment, and enhances the rural skills. It also makes the tourism as a driver of rural development and well-being in Bangladesh. We know all that cooperative is an autonomous association of persons united voluntarily to meet their common economic, social, and cultural issues. This cooperative works as a people-centered enterprises and other physical and other resources. Members of this model can realize their common economic, social, and cultural needs and aspirations. Cooperative bring people together in a democratic and equal way. Here, the members and incoming tourists are producers, consumers, employees, and as well as employers. We have seen three results from this experiment. Number one, job factory, creating a job factory. Number two, governance. And number three, inclusiveness. Earlier, I told you that this cooperative model already created 14 new jobs in the village. Firstly, the first new job is rural guiding. Second one is storytelling about the past of the village. Third, presentation of local traditional and heritage song. Fourth, preparing food for the tourists. Fifth, homestay development. Sixth, safe food production by the women. Seventh, performing art groups. Eighth, heritage good producers. Ninth, natural food processing. 10th, souvenir goods production. 11, accounting. Accounting means to run the cooperative society. 12, rural exclusive shops. 13, medicinal plants. And 14, the last one is volunteers. Number two, governance. You know that creating good governance through rural tourism is a new big issue now. Society and social actions are steered, mobilized, and regulated now by rural tourism. So, tourism governance can steer societal relations, including societal rules and values. Number three, inclusiveness. Inclusive tourism reduces uncertainty from the destination. It's about creating an environment where people feel welcome. It creates choice and instills confidence among the people, empowering them to sign up for new experience. Our model shows inclusiveness by involving the bottom line people. Inclusive tourism in more than the physical support, the biggest hurdle is offering inclusive emotional supports also. So conclusion now. Cooperative-based House of Wisdom model of community tourism can transform the village. Alleviation of poverty through converting a village into a job factory leads the contemporary jobless society. This key issue restructure the determinants of the tourism and governance. More specifically, the findings of the understanding of how community tourism works in practically involve the bottom line people. It highlights a new way of alleviating poverty and promoting sustainability in the rural development. This is all about my presentation. Thank you to give the chance to present this experiment in my village. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih. I'll thank you, Mokli sir, from your contributions from Bangladesh.
Yes.
We're going to move from Bangladesh over to Jamaica for Deanna to present. And then from Jamaica, we're going to go over to Kuwait for Omar. And then we may have the Minister for Tourism from Botswana joining us. I note that Talib Rafai has joined us. Hi, Talib. Nice to see you there. You're on mute, Talib, and I was hopeful that when we finish the next couple of speakers, may I invite you to say a couple of final words in relation to our agenda tonight, Talib? That's good. Okay. So what we'll do now is go over to Jamaica. Deanna, can you hear us?
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say what an honor it is to present the Villages as Businesses program, which we created under the Country Style Community Tourism Network. We have established it, and it is very exciting because of our passion for improving communities economically. And it has been accepted by the communities, and we're now looking for the funding to assist us to do further training. So the cultural diversity as a driver for economic growth. You can move on now, Risa. The importance of our cultural diversity is so important because it helps the communities to recognize their assets, what they have. Some of them didn't realize they had so much value, and to plan future ones too. And the visitor experience is a very important part of that, because when the visitor comes and sees what they have, they are very excited, and then they begin to value it more. And then we do training, entrepreneurship training. I like what was being said about the entrepreneurship, because most of them are entrepreneurs anyway, but they don't quite know how to do it professionally. And they didn't realize that an entrepreneur means a risk taker. That's what it's a French word. And you're prepared to take risks. So when we train them, we teach them all of that. And we organize themselves. We organize them to come together to participate in a marketing network, and for them to organize a steering committee for their community. Can move on. Next slide. Risa is helping me because I had a problem with my slide here. Oh. Okay, so to move on. I think I can do it now. Here we go. Yeah, I can do it now.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing it, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So we have always promoted that community tourism is community development, a change that has to take place from all people involved in tourism, including the hotels, and to succeed developing community business together, and to use that success as a tool for broader, sustained community and economic development. So we have shown communities that the attraction is heritage, environment, culture, craft, talents, personalities, businesses, and daily life. Many visitors want to enjoy the lifestyle of the community. We had a very exciting period with TUI, our largest tour operator in the world. For 3 years, they went to one of our communities. And what they liked, the fact that we went and took them to the hairdressing salon, they went to the basic school, they went to the prep school, they went to the church, they went to the community bar, and then they went to the community restaurant. And they really enjoyed that, so much so that the visitors from the all-inclusive that they came from went and told others that they went to see what Jamaicans do for their lifestyle. So this is something that we don't need to create attractions. It's there already. People are there. Okay. Now, this is in Trinidad. We've been all over the Caribbean, by the way, and presented this, and people love it. So they can organize themselves as a business, train them how to manage your community as a business. Okay, and then we show them schools and the churches. All of this is a part of the Villages as Business program. They don't have to, as I said, create attractions. It's there already. People want to see what they do in their life. So we have schools and churches, and we have music and dance. It's so exciting to see the visitor enjoying the drumming and the dancing. because in Jamaica, you know, we do a lot of dancing in the communities. So they enjoy learning from the community themselves. And then the food, oh my God, the food, oh God. They go crazy over the food. In this photograph, visitors are learning how to make the bami, which is made from cassava, in one of our communities. You're getting community images here. These are real experiences that people have. It's not something we're planning to do. We've been doing it for years, 45 years. But now we have it together. And it's both for rural and for urban villages. And then we have the heritage of the communities. You know, many of them don't know the heritage that they have. Some of them do, but most of them don't, especially younger people. So they learn about who they are and they get more excited now getting involved with the promotion of their village and to get involved. And then we have local business products. When we were in Trinidad, they went and created a chocolate business and a water business. I told them that they had natural spring there, so why are they bringing outside water there? And so they went and did it in the 5 days. We only need 5 days, you know, 5 days of training. And we've now added etiquette training for 5 days because etiquette is so important for them to know how to communicate with the world. And then on top there, you have the honey in Beeson Spring, which is one of our first communities in Jamaica, where they learn how the people produce the honey. And they have a drink as a welcome. They have honey and they have lime included, and they enjoy watching it being made, the honey. Okay, and then we have the local business services. Here you have the bar, the restaurant, the hairdressing salon. The city gets sitting down there. They're sitting down talking to the hairdresser. They want to know what she does, where she's from, what is her vision. And you know what is exciting? The fact that many of the visitors want to help them. They want to pick a project while on vacation. And some of them are saying they want to adopt a village rather than buy another car, they want to adopt a village. So we're actually promoting the business services and what people want. And our diaspora is our lead partner now. They want to invest in some of these businesses to help them. So we're encouraging people to put together a business plan, which we will help them with, so we can promote whatever it is that we have. And we're putting together a fund called Community Tourism Fund, which will offer low interest loans and also grant funding, but it has to be done properly. We have told them we have to have a proper business organized. So the benefits of our program is that we get direct business support, return business, businesses become market ambassadors, diaspora interest and investment, wide exposure of investment potential, and the creation of potential export. And as I mentioned, the contribution to the Community Tourism Fund. So this here is in St. Eustatius, establish a steering committee. Now, this is a very important aspect of our training, where at the end of the 5 days, they learn how to put together a steering committee to manage their community as a business. Community economic tourism, its leaders receive guidance in setting up a committee to oversee training and planning, so that when we do the training, we don't just leave them, abandon them. They move forward and we're there as advisors, but they're in charge. And we've shown them that you need to take responsibility for everything, environment, everything, and give accountability. That way you get more respect and you get more support. And then we have, this is in Trinidad. In Trinidad, it was exciting in Trinidad. They paid full attention and they were involved, and they did not realize that they had so much to offer. And this is in Trinidad, where they did the presentation. That's part of the training, where they have to go and research their community and do a presentation on their community. So that was So I'm showing you actual things, you know, it's not something, it's just an idea. We've been doing it. And then we have our Academy for Community Tourism. We provide entrepreneurship hospitality certified training in partnership with the Northern Caribbean University. We were doing it before with the UWI Open Campus, which has now changed to the UWI Global Campus. So they're doing some restructuring. So we had to move forward. And this is them with their certificates here. This is the steering committee again. So to give an example of the brochure, you know, the Beast and Spring brochure. So they feel proud that they have a brochure that they can market for themselves. And we have many partners, diaspora partners, media partners, and you know, it's all listed there. Anybody who wants a copy of this presentation, you can always get it, not a problem. villages.businesses.yahoo.com, villages.business.yahoo.com. And what we really want is to have a one-voice approach to community development and community economic tourism. You see, what is happening is that we shared it with the world through the International Institute for Peace Through Tourism. They're the ones who brought us on board to present it. This was way back. And they created the International Community Tourism Network. And Risa, I would like to thank him because he has created the International Community Tourism Association. So now we can market all that we have to offer without any cost, which is wonderful. So we'd like to thank Risa for that. And then we have had many awards. We're not short of awards. The awards have been great because it has helped us to move our agenda forward. And we are very happy to see that our Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, I know the president is here watching. I'd like to thank the GHTA for giving us the Community Tourism Pioneer Award in 2021, which has helped us. And we have had the Virgin Holidays. I think that was the best one we had outside. Responsible Tourism Award, because many people don't realize that community tourism is a responsible tourism, it's sustainable tourism, it's a mindset change, and under which falls community-based tourism. Community-based tourism is where the entrepreneurship lies, and we've had many niche markets which we have presented in the Caribbean. I was asked to do it with the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. Graveyard tourism, we've had post office tourism. I've had groups over the years from the different entities. People could not believe that people would travel to go and look at post office. I said, yes, what they want to do is to have the stamp of the post office in the community, but also to get to know the community. So, you know, the niche markets is where the entrepreneurship lies under community-based tourism. But community tourism is a mindset change where you can, everybody can be a part of it. They're all inclusive, everybody can be a part, but you cannot develop tourism without the communities, which need to think about the surrounding communities that are there. And these are, we have a training team, consultant team, some of them are online here, and we're very proud of them because this has given us an opportunity now to move forward. Any country interested. So I'm just summarizing now. Building environmental protection awareness is a better way because we can't have people go out and see an unclean country. We must have a clean community. Visitors stay in the hotels. We need to prevent using and guarding things that lead to more pollution and poverty. Preservation of our reefs, including mangroves to protect our coastal areas. Promoting investment in communities in support of their business development plan for their villages and business program, developing a database of community projects and business to attract low interest and grant funding and investment, and integrating communities with the promotion of lifestyle, community vacations and tours, together with the accommodation sector to offer local and international visitors. And as we speak, we're getting quite a few requests for February. I'm very excited. groups that are coming to Jamaica and they want to integrate our villages within their vacation experience. And some of them are staying at all-inclusives. So
That's
I
great.
think we're on the
Yeah.
right track.
Yeah,
And anyone interested,
that's
you can
great.
always.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for that wonderful
Yeah,
presentation.
I'm finished now.
Yeah, great.
That's it.
We
That's
now
my
need to
information.
move from your beautiful part of the world in Jamaica. We're
Yeah.
going to actually move over to Botswana first and then go to Kuwait, Omar, because we have the Honourable Hilda Nani Kareng joining us as the Minister for the Environment, Natural Resources, Conservation and Tourism of Botswana. Minister, welcome to the webinar. And hopefully the technology will work very smoothly. And I'll hand over to you.
Thank you very much, and my apologies for joining late. I think I should share with you that due to some transitions, I'm being moved to a different portfolio. So I think this might be my bye-bye to my team, but hopefully we'll be able to still continue working together. I'll be in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the redeployed on foreign mission as a High Commissioner to Nigeria with immediate effect. So I've been busy really trying to log out of my former portfolio, which I think that you guys must organize a party for me. Thank you very much, and compliments of the new year. I'm just going to share with you very, very briefly on what I think are strategic insights into how we can, enforce poverty alleviation within the tourism model and advance job creation at community level, how we can advance the improvement of livelihoods for our rural communities. First of all, let me say that for Africa, seeing that I think I'm the only African here, that this is a continent that is highly endowed with natural resources, beautiful landscapes, rich cultures, and talents that bring up things like arts and crafts that are marketable, that are of interest to tourists. All these resources are what we trade with in the space of tourism. And normally these are things that communities that have rich cultures or that have culture that can actually uplift their livelihoods, who produce all these crafts, who are the best storytellers to sell their destination, who have the knowledge of the biodiversity landscape and natural resources around them. They are a resource themselves that have been able to, over the years, preserve the natural bioscape, biodiversity landscapes in which we are now trading, in the space of tourism. So we're talking about people, we're talking about nature, and how important it is for us when we build tourism models to put these two at the core as we advance conservation of the resource, because we want to keep trading in them, but we have to also preserve. But most importantly, that the people that we find around these beautiful landscapes are usually very rural people. We don't want to kill these communities. They are strong communities by themselves. They have indigenous knowledge on how to preserve wildlife, how to preserve water bodies around them, how to do sustainable fishing, and how to harvest plants and roots and leaves and produce the crafts that they need to be able to live from. So we must be able to recognize these lives around them. And when we talk about tourism, so for instance, in the form of selling, wildlife, like we have, best all the kind of wildlife that you can imagine, top attractions to tourists. Think about the people that live together with those people, those animals. Think about the people that these animals could have displaced them, because we have to create protective national parks and game reserves to be able to safeguard the wildlife. And there are people around there who have to do farming. Think about them when they try to do farming and wildlife comes to destroy their crops and so forth. So these people are vulnerable to perpetual poverty if the policies that advance tourism don't take them into consideration. So whatever we do to develop sustainable or profitable tourism businesses must bring along the plights and abilities, capacities, vulnerabilities of such communities. Now, this is what the government of Botswana has done and is doing that I think is important for me to share in the few minutes that I have. When we realized that we had, I'll start with the diamonds before I get to the tourism one. Diamonds, where they were found, there were communities around there who were mostly farmers, some were hunters, and people who were actually having very low level of economic opportunities around them, but yet there is this valuable minerals around them. So intentional policies that were developed were such that we will develop laws and policies and strategies that will make these people a critical component of the mining industry. So the mining companies that come to exploit these diamonds have to do beneficiation for the communities around the mines, building schools, and the revenues that are generated from that trade will build schools, improve roads, build health facilities, educate people, and ensure that we don't have communities around these big facilities actually lingering in poverty. Going to other natural resources, within the space of tourism, I'm not in the mining, but I was in the, environment and tourism. Botswana deliberately intertwined environment and tourism for this purpose, that the main product that we have always been trading with in tourism has always been wildlife. Because we have the big five, we have got all kinds that you can imagine that exist in very pristine and very attractive, wildlife management areas, forests, the Okavango Delta, the Chobe rivers, and all the landscapes and similar. The communities around there, we looked at them and said, everything that we do as government in developing our economy, we can have a lot of money going into national coffers from this tourism where people come and see this. But you also are caring enough about the livelihoods around them so that we can be able to say, we as a government are intentional about ensuring that these people benefit. They benefit because we appreciate their role in preserving these resources using traditional knowledge for all these years. So we also acknowledge that they don't have the requisite skills to do the businesses that they can be so rich because they don't have the capacity to do that. So we came up with laws that said we will avail land to the communities around them. First of all, government created structures where the communities are assisted to formulate formal structures. A cluster of communities can form a community trust, maybe adjacent villages, or one community can form a community trust. In the trust, we have the community leadership, it's a chief, and then we have the board, and the board is drawn from those communities, and then we have what a CEO or a manager, and we have the local authorities. There's a structure called the Technical Advisory Committee that brings together officials at the local authorities who will be able to bring policies and tourism strategies and packages to those people who are formulated into a trust. And then they are assisted to come up with products, services, and tourism operations, guided, around what they need to fulfill to build, those enterprises. And then the communities can apply for land in those pristine areas. It could be concessions, it could be campsites in the national park or around. So when they own that land, we believe that they are empowered, they have been recognized that this is something that they have, to benefit from. So because they own land, we teach them that this is a valuable resource, but you also don't have capacity to build business out of it. So we encourage them and assist them to find an investor like yourselves. Bring your money, I have the land. And then you bring the model, you establish a lodge, an ecotourism business, you establish an agrotourism business, I have the land, and then we get into partnership. The community details what they want to get from this partnership, and the business model is developed, and there are rules and regulations as to how the revenues from this through the trust can be delivered into developing other areas of development for these communities. I'll give an example. If you go on the internet, you'll find this Machaba safaris. If you see Machaba safaris, you know, because I know they've been advertising themselves very well. They are a private company that has partnered with a community trust of 6 villages around the Okavango Delta. They are running exclusive tourism camps. They have an agreement and a partnerships that says, you know, the revenues that will generate from this business, this is how they're going to be replanted into the community. What do? They build houses for the needy. You know, they respond to the poverty needs, you know, or the poverty situations in those communities. They'll have mapped out what services they need to bring through the business. So they make profits because they get, the community trust will be getting what you call royalties, you know, annual payment of royalties from the business, and then they decide what should be invested in. They educate their young people, especially in the tourism, you know, they send people out to other countries, you know, to learn about, you know, different skills in tourism. They build houses for the needy. They connect water pipes to households. They, you know, put solar systems to light up the places. They, you know, they do preschools and, you know, basic education facilities, you know, for young people in those villages. So this model is called the community-based natural resource, you know, management model. We call it the CBNRM, which is also applied in neighboring countries of Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Zambia, because we also have a block that we manage the same resources together, where we share the, you know, the natural landscapes. So when the communities get these benefits from what their trust brings through the partnership with the investors, they are incentivized to conserve more, to protect more, and they are actually more motivated to actually desire to grow as business people in the future. So this model, I think, when we talk about poverty alleviation and how tourism can do it, we're talking about advancing tourism models, tourism business in partnership with the communities. And that also includes training, that includes also, you know, value chains in those businesses. This is some, you know, some of the things that they do. In that community lodge, ecotourism lodge or camp, that exclusive one, when the tourists come, they will be buying from the curio shop artifacts, crafts, baskets, and so forth that have been produced by the communities. And the business actually helps these communities to have access to even wider markets. When they go for an expo in Dubai or Japan, and right, they will be taking this along with them, or we will be sending some of them to go and sell these artifacts. We also make sure, apart from the CBNRM model, which I think is one of the it's a showcase model, we also made sure that our revised tourism policy that we revised learning from COVID in 2021 expanded tourism in terms of diversification of tourism products. And in diversification of tourism products, we decided that apart from wildlife and natural landscapes, let's sell also the things that will enhance the livelihoods of the rural people. They are strong in their cultural, you know, identity, cultural products. It's music, it's dressing, it's dance, it's stories, it's crafts as well, and then, you know, other things that they can do. And in that, when we diversified our tourism model, we included deliberately the cultural tourism model. And this is how we do that. Every community has its exclusive and very unique, you know, culture, which they like to showcase to the nation and to the region and to the world. So they have annual cultural events that happen, you know, in the Kalahari. They have the Kalahari kind of annual events in the north, in the south, which the ministry supports by budgets and also by, you know, as assisting to market them. So we'll be having these people will be coming, tourists can join these activities, dance and so forth. And at the same time, we also say when we have in terms of the, you know, diversification of the mice when we have events, meetings, conferences. You just come to Botswana, attend a meeting at an international convention center, and then have lunch, and then side meetings and panels and so forth. We create a whole marketplace for small and medium scale enterprises to come and sell their products. We create a whole trading space for informal sector. You will not miss getting those crafts. You will not miss a cultural night where we will dance with you, eat with you our local cuisine and tell our story. We sometimes host that at our National Museum. We call it cultural dinner under the stars, and it's an open place like that. And we also introduced the agro-tourism model. In the agricultural space, government decided to allow farmers that 50% of their farm they can use for other things that are related. So we quickly introduced tourism in the agricultural space. This is what happens. You build some camping facility, not the ones you see at a CBD, the Hiltons that you live in, but a camp or a hut, a traditional structure that will begin to experience something different. And in the morning, go into the farm, pick those tomatoes that you're going to use for your breakfast, or pick those oranges from the orchard that you'll use for your juice, and then have the experience of the farm tour, and then also do some donkey ride, some horse ride, and then in the night, then we bring a local community group to come dance for you, tell you the story around the fire. We love the bonfires. This is how traditionally Botswana people used to sit around the fire, tell the stories and how they have become, as people. Of an identity called Botswana. And under that, we give you the food, we give you the story, we give you the love of Botswana, and you will have a very different experience before you get back home. So in the agro-tourism space, and also in the MICE strategy that we have just finalized to unpack and make sure that, we have all that. So poverty alleviation. Sorry.
Minister, is your passion and your strategic approach is brilliant. But may I ask you just to wind up in about less than 1 minute, please?
Yes, very, very important that I must emphasize that we have to start at the policy and legal level and be intentional about, strategic programs that we can use to advance job creation at local level, poverty alleviation at local level. And from there, we can begin to unpack programs and make sure that we can, empower our people to take up these opportunities that we create. Thank you very much.
That was wonderful. Thank you very, very much. I'm ready to buy a ticket to Botswana.
You are welcome.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you very much for your contribution. In the interest of time, we have to move from Botswana now to Kuwait for Dr. Omar to make a 10-minute presentation. And then I'll ask our special guest, Talib, to do some final comments. Thank you, Omar. You're on mute, Omar.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Let me share my presentation with you. This one. Share.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you see it? Okay, all right. Well, actually, I work in Kuwait, but I'm originally from Morocco. So I'm more familiar with tourism in Morocco than tourism in Kuwait. Well, first, I would like to thank Dr. Reza for inviting me and Steve for facilitating this seminar, and for all my colleagues who have presented. My presentation is going to be a little bit different because when I saw the title, Tourism and Poverty Alleviation, I come up with more questions than answers, but then many of you have presented and you have given a lot of examples and models of how tourism can contribute to poverty alleviation. So the questions that came to my mind when I started to think about the topic is, to what extent does tourism contribute to poverty alleviation? Where do tourists go? How much money comes in from the tourists? And how much money goes out? Who gets what? And how much? What type of jobs are there in tourism? who does these jobs? Who benefits? Is poverty only about a salary? What type of tourism contributes to poverty alleviation? And equally as important is, now we start to ask the question also, what types of tourism contribute to poverty? Well, because, well, actually, when we talk about tourism, we tend to forget about the negative impacts of tourism. So those negative impacts and negative externalities, they actually contribute to poverty in the community from different perspectives. And then the question is, then how can we use tourism to contribute to poverty alleviation? Tourism can help through the many initiatives that my colleagues already talked about. And we also tend to forget about how tourists themselves, they can contribute in one way or the other, if when we define poverty alleviation is not in terms of a salary, but behavior also. So how can tourists themselves contribute to the livelihood of the communities they visit? Because when we talk about tourism and poverty alleviation, it's not only the government that is responsible, but the government, NGOs, the communities themselves, and the tourists themselves. So I first think about what is in a definition, poverty. How do we define poverty? Is poverty just a salary? Alleviation, what is alleviation? How do we measure that alleviation? Tourism, what is tourism? How do we define tourism? What types of tourism are there that contribute to poverty alleviation? Then when we talk about tourism and the positive impacts of tourism, we also need to think about the negative impacts of tourism and the negative externalities. So mostly when we talk about tourism, we consider just the economic surge, how much money comes in. But we are not talking about the economic impact, because if we want to talk about the economic impact of tourism, then we need to put in the equation money that comes in and money that goes out and all the negative externalities that are left for the community to deal with. So these are a few definitions that come to my mind before we start talking about does tourism really contribute to poverty alleviation and to what extent? So I found this definition of poverty interesting from the World Bank. Poverty is pronounced deprivation in well-being. The poor are those who do not have enough income or consumption to put them above some adequate minimum threshold. This is what we know. But poverty may also be tied to a specific type of consumption. For example, people could be house poor or food poor or health poor. These dimensions of poverty often can be measured directly, for instance, by measuring malnutrition or literacy. The broadest approach to well-being and poverty focuses on the capability of the individual to function in society. Poor people often lack key capabilities. They may have inadequate income or education, or be in poor health, or feel powerless, or lack political freedom. So if we want to talk about tourism and poverty alleviation, we should think about a definition that is all-inclusive, not only in terms of salary, and not only in terms of employment. How do we measure poverty, for example? It must be understandable and easy to describe. It must be conformed to a common sense notion of poverty. It must fit the purpose for which it is being developed. it must be technically solid, it must be operationally viable, and it must be easily replicable. So now, if we think about poverty from this perspective, then we come up with a more inclusive ideas that help us contribute to the economies, to the well-being of the community. I have these classic pictures that I like to present. And we say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, this is a type of tourism with which we are all familiar. And then when you see, I don't know, sometimes I think how many people they want to come, and they come to sit around the fire with us and to eat with us, compared to how many people they want to be in a familiar environment, and then they go to, as this picture is worth 1,000 words, to chain hotels, and they live there and they stay there. And these chain hotels, how much money goes in the community? Well, those are questions, because as an example here, you see food comes from Australia, lighting from Holland, elevators from Japan. So who profits, and who profits most? Then we can talk about the types of tourism that are more friendly to the community. That is another example. When we talk about poverty as contributing to tourism as contributing to poverty alleviation, this picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, you have people coming in, but people leaving the country, looking for a job somewhere else, and looking for a livelihood somewhere else. This is also a picture that it tells how much of all these souvenirs, how many souvenirs tourists they buy, and how much they pay them. And well, what is the impact that these souvenirs that we make have on the environment and the livelihood of the community? This is a revealing one. And it says, darling, remind me again, which country are we in? So you see, we talk about there is tourism, but there is tourism, and not all tourism and types of tourism are the same. Unfortunately, most of the money that comes in that we say can help the community is the money that stays inside. And most of that, the money also goes outside and leaks outside the community and even the country. So we need to take this into consideration as well. Developing countries, in fact, they have valuable tourism resources. This is from UNWTO. And the tourism activity has a strong potential for geographical expansion, including in remote areas. The tourism supply chain has a high capacity to support and implement other economic activities, such as traditional agriculture, transport, handicraft. Tourism is a labor-intensive sector, creating many jobs for youth and women. Tourism is a sector where entry barriers for SMEs, and you talked about entrepreneurship, can be quite low and can contribute to development in poor areas. Well, how many of these poor areas we visit? That's again a question. I have looked at the UNWTOs that really they gave us a lot of information and a lot of numbers that we can use, but the numbers we also can read them differently. So how do I read these numbers? Number of arrivals in millions in 2023. The world witnessed 1.2 billion tourists, and advanced countries, they received 708 million, which is 55% of the total. Emerging economies, they received 577 million, which is about 45% of the grand total. Europe received 54%. And even within Europe, there are Southern Europe, Eastern Europe, and Western Europe, and they have more or less, lower or more tourist numbers and tourist visits. We have the Asia and the Pacifics, 233 million visited in 2023, and that's 18%. The Americas, 15%. And now, interestingly, when we look at Africa, and see, when we look at poverty, we don't think about advanced economies much more as when we think about Africa and the least economically disadvantaged countries. So of all the 100% international arrivals, the 1 billion, 1.2 billion, Africa gets only 66 million. That's a total of 5.2%. And even with that, North Africa gets 2.1%, Sub-Saharan Africa gets 3.1%, and comparatively, G20, they get 69% of all the number of tourist arrivals, and LDCs, they get 2.3%. So if you just stop a second and look at these numbers and say, well, everybody is so much enthusiastic about tourism, and tourism brings in money and employment and this. Well, looking at this, 5.2% is peanuts, isn't it? Well, to me, this is why I'm not saying that it's not good, but what I'm saying is we can do better, and we should be doing better because of all the capacity, the culture, the heritage that Africa has, but still, we are not at that level. And plus, if you think about the 5.2% of these, how many African countries do we have? Maybe over 54. How many of these are tourist attractions? Well, you name just a few. And what is the rest?
Omar, we'll have to wind you up shortly. So 30 seconds. Omar, 30 seconds.
How much?
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Yes. You're at 15 minutes now in a 10-minute presentation.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, just to think about the numbers, they speak for themselves, and we need so many initiatives to encourage more visitations to the people who needs it the most, who need that money the most, and that they don't receive. So what are the issues of poverty from this perspective? We talk about hunger and malnutrition. So how does tourism, how can tourism contribute to the alleviation of hunger and malnutrition? It's not only a salary. So poverty entails more than the lack of income. Various groups, they bear disproportionate burden of poverty. And if you think about it, where does the money go? Those who need it the most, they don't get it, or what they get from it is just peanuts. So community-based tourism is one and a great initiatives, but then I don't have much time to talk about what I have in my presentation. But we talk about providing decent jobs, reduction of inequality, social and solidarity economy. The social and solidarity economy, which means that the people, the poor people, they need to have decent salaries from tourism. They contribute a lot to tourism, but then they don't get a fair share. Okay. And for this, we need to, yes, just 1 second, please.
Okay.
We need to.
And we'll have to finish up. You're on 17.
Yes, I got it. We need to humanize the capitalist economy with improving the quality of life of the people and not only giving them a salary. And
That's wonderful.
my
Thank you.
perspective.
I'm sorry I have to cut
Thank
you
you.
short.
That's okay. Thank you.
We're almost 2 hours in the seminar and we have to finish it in 2 hours.
Sure.
Look, it's wonderful. Thank you for your content. It's much appreciated and very valuable. We're just got to manage the time. That's all. We're going to move from Kuwait now over to Jordan. Many people will know Dr. Talib Rifai for his incredible background in many aspects of tourism around the world. But for those of you who don't know him that well, Talib is the former Secretary General of the UN Tourism, or the United Nations World Tourism Organization. And he was the first Jordanian ever to hold that role as Secretary General. And he's also served in many roles as a minister in the government of Jordan, and has also at the very senior levels of the International Labour Organization. Talib, before I invite you to make a few final comments to wrap up the evening, I just also want to acknowledge Saab Faro, who's in Bali, and we don't have time for Saab's presentation tonight or today, but Saab's presentation is on the website for the Tourism Institute. I'm going to ask Talib to say some wrap-up comments, and then I will ask Reza just to finish off any technical or protocol issues at the end. Thank you, Reza. Over to Dr. Talib.
Thank you. Am I heard okay? Is the voice okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this very, very generous introduction. I want to start by saying 2 stories about 2 visits that I did, one to the Philippines and the other one to Botswana, whose minister has been talking to us now. Okay, these 2 visits happened when I was still Secretary General of UNWTO. Oh, the first is the Philippines. I was visiting the Philippines, and there was a lady minister there who took me on a visit to an island near Manila, which we had to go by helicopter. When we landed the helicopter, the owner of the project was there, and he received us very gracefully. And then he said that from him I learned that in order to do the investment, he had to buy the whole island. But what he didn't tell me at the time, I realized this later when I was sitting with them, is that there were 90,000 people living on that island. So what happened to them? I asked him, what happened to them? What are they doing? He said, no, don't worry about them. I'm like their father. They all work here. They all come and dance here. They all come to get some experience from the people here. So I asked him to go visit that village. He hesitated first, but then the minister told him he must go if he wants to go. So I went to visit the village. I went back to see them. He was having dinner with the minister. And over there, I told him. He told me, what did you find out? I said, okay, you are very much appreciated here. You've created so many jobs. But he said, oh, there's a but. I said, there's a big but. But what? I told him that I'm not sure that the children and the grandchildren of those that I visited will be happy to come to work, serve the rich people of the world every day and go back to their own home to find out the difference in the economic quality of the place. He said, what should I do? It's a serious matter. I said, you should encourage your people to go to these villages, not have the villages come to them, not have the culture come to them. You go and experience the communities where they live. Now, the other example is from Botswana. In Botswana, I was visiting the President of the Republic there, and he asked me to go visit one very big park that is established in the south of the capital. So I went to see it. What happened there is that there was a theme park, a park for all the animals in the world that were living in there. They surrounded it with barbed wire so that the animals would not leave that park. But these barbed wires have prevented the villages around. There were 7 or 8 villages around that area who were going and coming every time. So what happened there is these villagers have objected to creation of that park. Now I went and visited that park. I saw the hotels there. They're all-inclusive hotels. Now I didn't hear the term all-inclusive in all the presentations except in the last one from Omar. It was about poverty, not about tourism. Now all-inclusive models have kept people from going outside of this very, very important park. So what happened there, I told them the best thing is to ask the people to go outside, encourage them to go visit these villages, because that's the way they would encourage the people there to actually welcome visitors as if they're coming to their own homes, not just coming to the country. So what I meant, I went to visit that place once again after 2 years. I was entering the place. I saw the sunshine rising on the left side of the car, and I looked at there. There was a big billiard stage, billiard table, who was sunk into the mud because the place was raining over there. But there were 2 villagers and 2 footers playing against each other. So I said, "Oh, that worked then," because the visitors are coming to these villages now. I went there and I saw the place, and they have created some carriages. Some are driven not just by horses and donkeys, they are also driven by apes and monkeys that are there. They went and they experienced this and went into the villages. What I want to say here is a simple thing, is that when you create all-inclusive models like the ones in Jamaica or in the Caribbean or in other places, they heard the presentations of, these all-inclusive models don't serve the community well. They are models that confine you to your own place. And just to comment on Omar's presentation, it's important that these people spend the money there, not just give it to the owners of these hotels who are international owners, Europeans and Americans. I mean, so that's my point here. What I want to say is you should encourage people to go visit the villages, experience that there, because it's those villages that really matter. The culture is there. Instead of bringing the group of people to dance in the hotels, you should take the people that are staying in the hotels to the villages, see the dancing, where people live. Now, one of the people told me about this. What are they going to see in these villages? Nothing. I said, well, don't worry about it. The people will create something when tourists come to them, because the people there would create some coffee shops, some souvenir shops, and so on. So that's the point I want to make here, is that all-inclusive models should encourage people to go visit the community around them. That's the best way to make the community people feel part of the tourism benefits. Otherwise, they will always compare their standards of living to those of the rich people of the world who are visiting these hotels. That's what I want to make as a point here. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to say something. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Talib, for your words of wisdom, as usual. Always hugely appreciated. Folks, before we wrap up, we'll just have one discussion point, I think. Burkhard from Germany, can you hear me? Burkhard had an...
Yes, I can hear you.
Good. The idea that you raised in the chat, would you like to just explain that and propose that? And if anybody's got any questions to you about your ideas there, those backstage initiatives.
So yeah, thank you, and thank you for allowing me to participate here. I greet 10% of the participants I know, and I would like to inform you about some backstage initiatives where I cannot say for 100% sure whether it will work out and when it will work out, but just to share. So the tourist industry probably have about 14 million companies, which means 400 million employees, more or less. And there is no umbrella organization. Of course, we have the World Tourism Organization, but these are governments. And there needs to be a counterpart, and there is a plan to create a world chamber of the travel and tourist industry. It's like a chamber of commerce with a political branch and with a commercial branch. And so to maybe even give a free of charge membership so that also the small travel agents in Cambodia or in Honduras or whatever can participate. And they only have to pay when they want to get a service. But to get a feeling how big is the industry and how much jobs are behind of the industry and how important it is. The disadvantage of the tourist industry is that about 90% are small and medium companies, family-owned companies. So we have big players, of course, but these are just very few comparing to other industries. And the other disadvantage is that the tourist industry is very much fragmented. We need one organization, a brand, a name, a face, an address, which covers all these several segments of the tourist industry, which is a big family. And to show the World Bank, the United Nations, etc., how big is the tourist industry. And when you compare, ignore that you are part of the tourist industry, you make a trip somewhere else, and who is the most important person for you? It is a tour guide. It is a freelancer working for a travel agent and or tour operator. And this is the face of the country. So I want to mention this. The big organizations are not so important for the consumer. For the consumer, it's a direct contact from human to human. And we need to know this, and we need to give a platform, we need to get funds. And now I come to the second point. There is a plan to create some kind of an international tourism development bank. And the first meeting will be, so this is my information, in end of September this year. And 23 international development banks will participate. So it does not mean that in October this bank will exist. This will take some time, of course. And until there are no signatures, this bank does not exist. It is, at the moment, it is still a project. But when this exists, I hope that a lot of issues who have been mentioned in this webinar have a partner to try to find solutions, international solutions. This needs some time, but also the United Nations started with the first step. And so, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that idea. It might be something you might wish to have an ongoing conversation with Dr. Reza on. There are very few people in the global tourism and travel industry as well connected as Dr. Reza. He knows everybody. So he might be a good guy.
Reza and me, we know each other, of course.
Yeah, of course, very good friend.
I think it's an idea that might be worth exploring further with Dr. Reza. Look, I'm aware of the time. We're well over 2 hours. I just want to thank our speakers who have come from Europe and Southeast Asia and South Asia, the Caribbean and Africa and the Middle East. It's been a wonderful global webinar tonight with lots of views and ideas shared. But we've come to the end of the line. I'll ask Dr. Reza just to make some final comments about where you can access the presentations and what's on the website. Thank you, Dr. Reza.
Thank you, dear Steve. Thank you so much for the wonderful moderation. You did really great. And thank you all the speakers. Really, thank you so much. There are many good friends here, including Bokar Herbote, and also I see Sharon here and many others. Thank you, Steve, so much. I know you have to leave. It's quite late for you. But if you don't mind, we will keep the Zoom open. I think Miss Sappharo also want to say some words, so we give her the chance. Her presentation is on the website. And if you still have a time and willing, you're welcome to stay a few more minutes. Steve, thank you so much. So
Thank you,
I know
everybody.
it's late. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Sap, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can.
I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me here, especially from Bali, Indonesia. And yes, I hope to be able to contribute and with my progressive policies as well as my takeaways, which I have done over the years since 2015, since I established a social impact retailer, mostly to address poverty alleviation. My deck is up on the website, it's updated, and I've addressed technology, I've addressed grassroots, where my social impact retailer addresses few multi-stakeholders and initiatives aligned with the SDGs. I try to cover as many SDG factors as possible. And yeah, I do have also the most very important, the latest project is to, let me just share, it's agritourism, where I promote and I offered a regenerative community project that enables collective resilience to future disruptions, poverty alleviation, and food sovereignty. So yeah, thank you. And I hope to see you guys and contribute more. And if you can reach out to me, I'm on LinkedIn, it's Sappharo. And to multilateralism, to grassroots, to partnership for the goals, and also to ethical best practices. Thank you so much, Reza, and everyone here. May you all be very blessed.
Thank you. Your presentation is on the website and is on the homepage of that webinar, so people can go and see it, and they can also contact you. Thank you so much for. I don't know if somebody else want to say anything. Just to remind, that's a recording, and the recording from tomorrow will be available, including the bio of all the speakers as well. So anybody want to say something? There are still a few hundred people watching, so if somebody want to say anything.
Oh, yes. Actually, I totally forgot. I will be organizing a community event, which, of course, addresses a couple of initiatives, like indigenous rights are my most treasured, indigenous especially, and rural care and education. So I will be hoping to invite stakeholders, multilateralism, grassroots, and I hope you can join me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I see.
Reza?
Yeah, Sharon, please go ahead.
Thank you for this opportunity. Greetings to you and Diane, of course, and Talib. I'd like everyone to sort of give few lines and synthesize what the solutions really are going forward. This could be most important for the 21st century if out of this summit, we can have some real workable solutions for tourism. It's important that we, such wonderful heads and presentations, we could just synthesize what are the solutions. Just put it in 1 or 2 or 3 pages and put it on the webinar.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else want to say something?
Here's the hand of Denise
Yeah,
Salmon.
Denise.
Yes.
Salmon, yes, please. Go ahead. Yes, please. Mr. Dennis? Yes.
Denise, you
I
have
can
to
correct
unmute.
that.
You are muted, Dennis, so.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Good day, good night. I would just like to see more waste to wealth projects or trash to cash projects where waste is used to create more jobs for the poor and create more souvenirs for the tourists.
Okay.
And I have developed a book project for the children so that they can learn to begin using waste to make toys and all that so they can get familiar with using waste in better ways.
Okay.
And
Hello.
well, that would be great for my social impact initiative. What is your LinkedIn? Do you have which one? Who is?
Well, she can share it in the chat box, maybe.
Dennis.
Okay.
You know,
Okay,
I will. You know, but I go. Me ready.
Okay. Anybody else want to say something?
Yes, sir. I would like to say a big thank you to my presenter, Miss Diana McIntyre Pike, for highlighting Jamaica. I'm Carlton Samuels from the rural area of Jamaica.
Diana is doing a great job in Jamaica and the community tourism and villages as a business. I admire her. I know her for many years. She has been doing a great job. Thank you so much. Anything else before we conclude?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something, Risa.
Okay, yes.
That the all-inclusive, we have a lot of all-inclusive in Jamaica. And what we have to understand is that some of the all-inclusives are working together with us in community-driven programs. But we need more of that. And we are getting requests for all-inclusive packages that combines the all-inclusive with communities as well as small hotels. It's actually quite exciting to do that. So we need to try and promote more boutique hotels and villas and so on, and not the 2,000 room hotels. Everybody is getting upset about that. Too many 2,000 room hotels are being put forward in Jamaica. So it's something that we're very passionate about. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I saw Miss Professor Arthur. Are you here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you, Mr.
hello.
Riza. I welcome to everybody. I, in principle, would like only to mention a few things. With our holding company, we are participating in all kinds of tourist projects, and we are focusing on the use of energy from waste, cleaning water. We making even atmospheric water. We capturing water out of regions where even is in principle no water. There is so much waste. Like if I only give a few examples, we have coconut shells in many African countries. They lie simply rotten, and nobody uses it. You have free energy to make electricity, and you can be completely decentralized. So we are working on all kinds of projects from Tanzania, Ghana, Indonesia, Philippines, United Arab Emirates, many countries. And what I would suggest to many of the participants here is we need to make a bridge between all those companies who have also these technologies. We are investing in tourism, but we are in principle not in the tourist business directly, but we're doing a lot of things. And like this, we're giving also money and possibilities for exactly the poor countries. The people who know me, under which also Burkhard knows me very well, I am 40 years in the work of humanitarian assistance. I'm a professor in conflict, crisis, disaster relief management. And so we try to find solutions when there is a disaster. We have so many things where, especially for boutique hotels and other things, we should create also small structures of specialists to assist and to prevent what to do in case of situations. Anyhow, nice meeting. Thank you, and thank you for giving me the few seconds.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor. Thank you. Yes, sir, Mr. Peter.
Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So my name is Peter Nsubuga. I am from Uganda. First of all, I want to thank Institute of Tourism for hosting this webinar. It has really been so good for me. That's one, appreciation. Then two, I want to thank all the presenters for the enlightenment of basically on this major topic. I am the co-founder of the safari company, Wildlife Adventure Safaris Limited in Uganda, but we concentrate so much in sustainable tourism because we looked at this massive tourism as something that is, people aim at making lots of money, but they don't aim at the long run. So what we did, we came up with a policy which all our clients must accept to take in. Otherwise, if you don't accept our policy, we don't take you on a safari. We are starting as a test safari company in Uganda, as we are trying to disseminate the same information to different people, much as we are looking at alleviating poverty, using driving tourism ahead, but we also look at sustainability of tourism. Otherwise, I'm so happy that most of the presenters have talked about some of the key issues that appear in our policy. And sometimes we deny our clients doing certain things just because we know it's against our policy. Like we don't allow them to buy crafts that are made from environmentally sensitive products. For example, when you have to buy a product of wood, then we must know where that where that wood came from. Otherwise, if it's a tree from a natural resource or a forest, we try to advise our clients to not to do that. And we do, actually, our policy is a little bit wide. I cannot share it now, but I'm so happy that we have started this. And I know that in the whole world, there are at least some people in different countries running sustainable tourism to alleviate poverty in the short run and also in the long run. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sania Kirpalani, please.
Hi, thank you. I'm sorry I don't have a webcam on this, so I'm just speaking. I'm very curious to know that there's always been this fear for artificial intelligence, and yet artificial intelligence is driving the most remote regions in Sikkim, in Northeast India, even in the Warungs of Indonesia, to grow their businesses exponentially. Like I mentioned on the chat, in just 2 years post-COVID, a small village called Parantar, a village in a village called Parantar, has driven 20,000 sustainable, sensitive tourists to it using AI. So as I mentioned in the chat, I'm very open to supporting this beautiful initiative and training anyone in AI as a group if they want it. And I have a certificate and several companies in AI, but I would be happy to do this pro bono because I think it's only through using this, which cuts our costs of going global, is that we can grow globally. Through AI, through use of technology, we can grow globally, and I'd be happy to assist. And Peter, just a comment I was about to drop. We have a couple of hotels in Africa, and the one thing that I've known is what you're doing is brilliant because I've seen most of the safaris are not sensitive, not even to the animals there. We've been in Uganda for the last 52 years, so I'm very familiar with the lay of the land. But is there a way to rework the handicrafts that you were talking about? Because right now, 90% of the handicrafts in Uganda come from Kenya. So I'd love to work with you if it's possible to kind of help regenerate that. The group is Speak. You probably know my brother, Sudhir Ruparelia.
And thank you so much.
Miss Sania, are you
Yes,
there?
sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
no, hold on,
And
please.
I'm loving what you're doing, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now is on Mr. Stefan Sayers, please. He has been waiting for like.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
You can hear. Thank you so much for organizing the webinar. It's been so lovely to hear all of the stories around the world. I'm here in Macau at the Institute for Tourism Studies. I've been very interested to hear all of the kind of projects and material kind of progress around the world to alleviate poverty. I'm also kind of having a question, and because I see there's a material dimension and also a kind of a spirit to it as well, or a value system that we should kind of come together and consider. Being in education and training people in tourism, then it kind of makes me have this question: what are some of these values that are essential that can sustain these initiatives? Because I think without a certain base of, for example, justice or unity, truthfulness, then it's going to be very hard to sustain any kinds of efforts. So I don't have the responses, I have the question. I wonder if perhaps Talib could share his thoughts, or other friends may like to share just very, very briefly. So in the frame of educating young people, this is where I'm at. So thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if somebody want to answer those questions. Yes, Talib, please.
Yes. Yes, what I want to say is that what I talked about is encouraging the all-inclusive model. The all-inclusive models are not very good for people. They're not very good for communities, because tourists are locked in. They don't get out of these hotels. That's what I wanted to say. And the people must get out of hotels to interact with other people. That's the only way. It's the only point I wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I hope you had the answer. Mr. Ibrahim, I see your hand rising. Ibrahim Satin.
Yes, yes, I have opened my voice. First of all, I would like to express that I am very happy hearing and listening very brilliant presentations. And I'm very happy seeing the Secretary General Talib Rifai and Rizayu and all very dear participants with their very unique papers, presentations. What I can share with you for Uganda, Botswana, for the other continents, because I am connecting to you from Turkey, which is especially from Antalya, which is the capital of tourism in Turkey. Many huge large-scale hotels here is using package holidays, package programs. So when we have considered the development of tourism in the rural areas or in the entire world, especially less developed places, I think we should definitely protect the culture, protect and educate the people, and protect the culture, also develop and improve their traditional production ways. So these are the heritage, I think so. So the people who use package holidays is a little bit far from contacting with the local people. So it may reduce the production of cultivation. So people should contact with the people. So I think the tourism industry need to develop small hotels which has the rich culture and which will teach the culture to the visitors. So I think that should be very important for me here, that I have learned from the doctors and the presentations. So I would like to say all my best wishes and regards to all participants here, and very glad can congratulate you since
Thank you
you
so
have
much.
yes. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Abraham. Thank you so much. Mr. Gugu, please. And I think that this should be the last one.
Once again, it's an afternoon. I'm based in South Africa. Thank you so much to all the speakers for such an insightful information shared, and thank you to the Institute Tourism as well for continuing with these webinars. They are very fruitful. They help us to understand, what our sector is all about. Just a quick one. I'm from South Africa, and we are running a network of SMEs across the country and across Africa. We've recently developed a platform called Tourism Brain, Business Referral and Information Network, where we get to connect SMEs to share business and refer business amongst each other and share information. So for a quick one, you can just go to our website. It's tourismbrain.digitalecosystem.cloud, or alternatively, you can reach out on my email, which is google@renzonetwork.africa. I've listed it on the chat box. Thank you so much, colleagues.
Thank you so much. Anybody want to say?
Thank you, Reza.
Thank you. So I think we conclude. Sab, do you want to say something? Sab, unmute yourself.
Reza, just one sentence.
Okay, yes, please.
Reza, when this is over, then often we don't have access to this chat field here where a lot of people have given their email addresses. I don't know whether there is a chance technically to have access.
Yes, of course. Everything is recorded, and we can also provide the chats. And all the speakers have a bio page, so you can just click contact me, and then you can contact them directly, and they will receive.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Very good.
Yeah.
I just want to say, if somebody here would like to get informed in future about the development of what I mentioned, this Chamber of Travel and Tourism and this Tourism Development Bank, as said, I cannot promise anything now, but there is something on the road. And you can contact me. My name is like my email, my name here in burkhard@herbote.com. So very easy. When you write my name, burkhard@herbote.com, you can see my name. So send me a brief email, and I will forward it to the person in charge, who is a friend of mine in Malaysia. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody else?
Okay, Reza. Just a quick one to say. Just a quick one to say. I mean, this was an excellent webinar. I think very good ideas have come forward, and I agree with what Burkhard says. We as an industry are huge. I mean, we really need to get our act together to start speaking in one voice. And what you're doing over here with the webinars is you're bringing the world together. So more power to you, and more power to everybody who comes and speaks over here. Let's keep this going. We all know the power of tourism for the good that it can do. We need to put it together by coming together. So thank you for doing this, and I'll see you again soon somewhere.
Thank you. And that was Ajay Pradesh, the new president of the IIPT, International Institute for Peace through Tourism. And thank you, Ajay.
Thank you, Reza.
Anybody else want to say something? No. Okay, so strange people are coming in. Maybe it's always confusion with the times and so on. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Taleb. Thank you, all the speakers and all the viewers from around the world. Good evening and good night. God bless you all. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.